What do you need to start into astrophotography? You will be surprised how little it is. Hi, this is View into Space and I'm Sasha. Grüezi miteinander and thanks for watching my video. If you're new to this channel, please make sure you push the subscribe button below to stay up to date. And if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up. So let's get started. I will go through all the equipment that you need to start your journey into astrophotography, one by one. And if you stick to the end, I will show you something extremely helpful that I developed myself. So let's start with the most important part. Obviously, the camera. So what camera can you actually use for astrophotography? It might surprise you, but you do not need such an expensive camera. You can use almost any camera that you own. That said, depending on what you shoot with, your results will obviously be better or worse. But that's just the nature of things, right? So let me divide the features that your camera should have into the musts and the nice to haves. And let's start with the musts. The first thing your camera needs is an option to set it on manual. This is usually represented with an M. What it means is that you can set your aperture and your speed separately, however you want. The second thing your camera should have is a manual focus. Here in my camera it's this ring I have to turn. Your camera might have another option. This is so crucial because cameras or the autofocus is not really trained or good at focusing exactly on the stars. That's why we have to do that for them. And I will explain you how in a later video. The next thing should be easy. Your camera must have an option to do long exposures, 1 to 3 seconds approximately. And the last feature in the must category is your camera must have an option, any option, to shoot an automated series of pictures. This can be accomplished in various ways. Sometimes it's already built in your software of the camera. Sometimes your camera offers a wireless connection to a smart device. And sometimes it offers a port where you can actually plug in a remote control. Any of these options is fair game. With that, we come to the nice to have features. The first nice to have feature is it would be great if your camera would be able to shoot in RAW format. Obviously JPEG works too, but RAW has so much more important, especially in the area of depth of field in it, that it really makes a big change in the outcome of your final picture. It is also a no-brainer that if your camera performs well in dark situations, that's a big help. This usually means either a bigger sensor or a more modern camera, as sensors are getting better and better to deal with dark situations. Given shooting sessions can be quite extensive, it's great if you can exchange your battery and if you have a few batteries available so that your night does not end prematurely because you're running out of energy. Another option is when you can actually connect your camera to an external power source. And now let's talk about the thing that is connected to your camera, and that's the lens. This also applies when you have a fixed lens connected to your camera. Still, we have to do some considerations. There are two things we're actually looking for in a lens. One is a focal length as high as possible. Here I have 240 millimeters as a max. And the second thing is the minimum aperture. Here it goes from 3.5 to 6.3. This is a little bit a contradictory thing because usually, especially with zoom lenses, the higher I go with the focal lengths, the higher also the minimum aperture. Here 6.3. So what are we going to do? From my point of view, the most important part is the focal length. Yes, I can go completely in here to 24 millimeters and I have a wonderful 3.5 aperture. But what does it really help me if I have this pristine picture without any noise, but my object that I actually want to photograph is tiny? So I have to get close to my object. That's a necessity, and as closer I can get, at least to a certain extent, the better. This does not apply if you want to photograph the Milky Way, and that's probably the only exception here. Otherwise, when we talk about camera lenses, the closer I get, the better. Now, if you have various lenses and one has a better f-stop than the other, please go with the one where you have the lowest possible f-stop. That definitely helps keeping the noise down, getting more light in, having shorter exposure, shorter sessions. So with that, we arrived at the second thing you need, and that is a tripod. Now again, as with the camera, if you have anything like a tripod at home, use it. It's good enough. This can be, if you have one, a full-sized one, or just something like this. For the start, it's good enough. Main thing is, you can put your camera somewhere, it doesn't vibrate anymore, it's right in position, and your camera is stable, directed at your target. Obviously, if you're buying something new, buy at least something like this, or even something heavier, sturdier. The more solid it is, the heavier it is, the less vibration you have, and the better the qualities of your photos. The next thing you need is kind of a way to remote control your camera. As stated before, some cameras have already built it in. You just tell the camera, I want to do 20 shots, this length, this interval, full stop, and it does it. Great, then it's already done for you. The second option is, with all modern cameras, you usually have a way to connect a smartphone through Wi-Fi or Bluetooth to your camera. And then there's app on your smartphones which actually let you remote control whatever you want. This is what I do with my Sony. If you have neither of these two options, usually these cameras have a port and you can connect either a remote control or an intervalometer like this. And this is definitely the preferred option then, because you do not want to stand a whole evening in the cold and click, 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 do the shots manually. But you want to tell the intervalometer, I want to do 20 shots, this exposure, full stop, you go in the warmth and let the camera do its job. The last things that you need are a computer, I hope you have one, to actually process the pictures, stack them, and we talk about that in a separate video, and if possible a smartphone or tablet to have a sky map on it, which makes it much easier to find the objects that you actually want to photograph. And I might also do a later video covering these options. Now you might have asked yourself, what is this crazy thing I have here on my camera? And that's the thing I invented myself. It actually connects to this here. Yeah. So what is all of this? Plastic junk. It's a dew shield. What it does, it prevents dew to form on your lens. And how I do it, I just took this plastic bottle, cut off the bottom. With sandpaper, I kind of made the inside made that it's not glossy, it reflects no light. I screw it to the lens like this, and I have my dew shield. Looks crazy, works great. The point is, if you would watch similar videos about telescope, everybody would tell you that you need a dew shield. Nobody I've seen so far tells you that about cameras. And the first time I went up to my terrace and did a night shot with my camera, as sure as hell, my lens froze over and it was game over for the night. That's when I did this here, and since then the problem is gone. So in winter you can actually have the lens freezing over from the dew, and in cold summer nights it simply is water driplets forming on your lens. Both has the same result. You can pack together and leave for the night. It's done. So something like this is really a big help. It's very easy to do, and you have one problem less. And that's it. It's really quite easy what you need to get started on your journey of capturing space. So did I forget anything? Do you disagree with my selection? Or do you have any questions? I'm curious. Please leave a comment below. And if you like my videos, please push the subscribe button and give me a like. It helps the channel. Thanks a lot. See you next time, and clear skies.